You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis show. And what are they talking about and writing about when we went on break and they still can't even recognize that we are back on air? Ace has been ranting about Donald Trump's thing that I can't mention. And whilst we are on air, I'm on a page with him, I can see he's still ranting over there. Okay. He's happy that John Mahama has been taking Trump on for his comments that he's made about Africans and Haiti. Now, let's look at the president's 1 year in office, and because we do not have much time, I will not seek to limit my guests, but a number of issues were put up in the area of how far he's done. People have said that he's been a monumental failure in respect of dealing with security or rule of law as regards the vigilante groups that showed up. I say they are not vigilante groups because they are not. And then matters of corruption, even the recent matters of the $100,000 cash for seats. Then you also have had matters of 800,000, is it, for websites, which was said to be an error. Just lifting some of the issues that have come up. As we speak, 3 soldiers, police officer, shot at Agogo by suspected, headsmen. What is being done in that area? The police commander has been transferred. Headsmen are said to be fleeing after attack amid tension. Of course, you remember the Delta 13 cases and all of those. And the economy, what are we talking about? Is there been a significant sustainable fiscal consolidation for rapid growth as was expected? And then, of course, the Gitmo 2, who are in Ghana, whose 2-year stay has expired. We were told that we should expect an announcement shortly on what will be done about them, what is going to be done. But of course, like I said, I will not seek to limit my guest. 1 year. I started Inus Husseini. He had given the president C and moved on to C+. After Martin Amidu was announced, he changed his rating to, I don't know if he's giving him an A.
No, I give him a B+. I give him a B+.
I read it somewhere.
Okay. I give him a B+.
Explain.
Because, I mean, just like Koko has said, the appointment of Martin Amidu is a politically strategic stroke. I mean, and if you have sat in any classroom and you've been assessed, I mean, sometimes you pull that performance that ups your grading, I mean, and your performance in class. Yeah. And so I think that is what has moved him from a C or C+ to a B+. I mean, it has been very good. It was a wise decision. Very refreshing. I mean, very welcoming. Okay. And
Afeyo Markin said he also demonstrated that he is interested in all-inclusiveness. But that is where I brought in Haruna, who said he cannot be said to be all-inclusive. Because by the time he had appointed 110,
I had also said that in my first interview, that probably what is signifying that the president is trying to change course from his family and friends government to an all-inclusive government. And so clearly...
Is there space to do that?
There's space. The president has a lot of space. I mean, he's always quoted the Constitution, and he appointed 110 ministers.
And they're all his family and friends?
Really? No, not family and friends. More than 50% of them are family and friends. And then, and so when we said that, well, Ghana was probably entering the Guinness Book of Records of a country the size, population size being 25 million or thereabouts, and having 110 ministers. He said, oh no. They are needed to perform work. The task of performing working, moving the economy requires that huge number. So clearly, the president, but the president before the appointment was not doing well at all. The economy was bad. The economy was bad because government was not spending. The government had cut statutory funds, okay, and government was underperforming in revenue. And it's when you look at a country like ours, if you want to create prosperity, it's government expenditure that does that. Okay, government must pay contractors, and contractors will pay their creditors, and the creditors will feed their families and send their children to school. And government was not spending, and government could not spend because government was not mobilizing resources enough. Okay, and so clearly that was a bad performance on the economy. I mean, you could see that in the last Christmas. I mean, there was no anxiety. There was no excitement in the air.
You didn't have excitement.
So I thought you didn't have excitement. That was what you wanted. There was no excitement, and speaking in contributing to debate in the House, in Parliament, I had said it, and 10 days to Christmas, and there appeared to be nothing. I mean, you visit the shops, and everybody's talking about sales going down, and so, and if sales go down, if you want to create employment, and there's no consumption, no company is going to produce a stockpile. No, that will be cost, and so there must be consumption before companies can produce. You don't even need to drive companies to produce. You just need to create the necessary space for consumption. And consumption will come when people have extra income. And there was no extra income in the economy. And so there was no consumption. So companies will not produce. You can bring expatriates together and charge them 100,000 to sit by you. They will not increase production. If consumption increases and they increase production, they have to increase production, then they will have to employ people. You see the dynamics. I mean, economic. You can talk about these issues. I mean, individual. They need to look at holistically, and so the government did not perform. Government says that it met the macroeconomic indicators by trying to rein in the deficit. Why? Because government was not spending. Why would the deficit not be reined in? I mean, government did not need to do anything. And if you want to know why government was not underperforming, go to the ministries. I mean, the budget of 2016, 2017.
The budget that got the car dealers in Abosokai jubilating.
Jubilating finally, were saying that, I mean, they clearly thought that the Asampa budget was not Asampa at all. And so, clearly, this were, on the economy, this was what government was doing. Government also had resorted to excessive borrowing. And what they were doing was using some ingenuity to spread the payment regime such that the burden is not excessive on the country. But they were still borrowing. And they were borrowing huge amounts of money to man the economy. I mean, they were borrowing to consume, borrowing to pay, not producing to pay. And so clearly something was fundamentally wrong.
You forgot about borrowing to pay debt as well.
Borrowing to pay debt as well. Yes. But in this particular case, you see, when I talk this way, people remind me about the former NDC. In assessing President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, you must look at what you said, how he was able to catch the fertile imagination of the Ghanaian voter, and why he performed so well in the last elections. And juxtapose that with what he's doing now. And then you can come to effect. You can't do assessment of this government on the performance of this government just when they entered office. You must do it against what they said they will do. That gave them the mandate. On corruption, yes, until the appointment of Madam Amido, I can tell you as a matter of fact, even civil society organization was losing faith. They said that Nana Addo had not demonstrated enough commitment to fighting corruption. That he was just talking. And Kasabebri and Toa Ponchi, he was not acting. I had said it on this show that Nana Addo, when he speaks like a man with a purpose. Until his appointment of Madam Amido, he was behaving more like a laid-back president. He was talking, and that was all. Just let's hope that this appointment will change the course of history for this country, the destiny of this country, and that it will bring good tidings. But clearly, why will Nana Addo be a judge and a lawyer in the same case? They bring you a case for 6 allegation. It comes to your attention. You get your Minister of Information to write that the ministry had acted appropriately, when the ministry itself, in their earlier letters, had said that such a thing will not be allowed in the ministry. And then you had exonerated them. In any case...
So you have triggered the processes in Parliament, and that's been
yes,
approved.
And in any case, why do you think that someone can use a public office for the purpose of a private gain? Why would you think that way? I mean, if it is a practice in America, and it's even a practice in Ghana, I mean, supporting noble public causes. The Farmers' Day, private companies donate. The Independence Anniversary, private companies donated. But you don't use a public office and sell the seats close to the president for a private gain, for a Ghana expatriate business community. You don't do that. Okay, and then you exonerate them. People thought that, no, this was weird. The boss scandal. Now, Nanado's answer and the MPP's answer to the sale of the contaminated 5 million liters was that it happened in the past. And who says that repeating mistakes is experience? Repeating mistakes has never been considered as experience. And so clearly, you will see, and then the minister for energy then set up a committee, the first time in the history of this country. They set up a committee and gave them terms of reference. While the committee was still working, he himself accepted a report of the BNI and truncated the work of his own committee. You can't even understand. What was it? Was it for cause of financial loss or something? And so clearly, I mean, you had issues, security. And I agree with you. It's not vigilantism.
And maybe after that, then we can proceed to hear from Afenyo Marking.
It's not.
But before we hear from him, we shall also listen to Kojo Asante, Dr. Kojo Asante of the CDD, he's a senior research fellow. CDD yesterday held a platform where they did an assessment of the governance of Nonado so far. So finish on.
It's not about
security.
vigilantism. It's about lawlessness. Those guys who are masquerading around, around the country as MPP sympathizers and terrorizing and threatening people are just outlaws. They're compromising, they're potentially compromising the peace and security of this country. But they have the effrontery to do that because they have political cover. And Nanado has not demonstrated leadership when it comes to
people who have political cover. 13 of them were prosecuted and fined and cautioned and bonded to be of good behavior.
Convicted of what?
They were convicted on their own plea of guilt.
What? Guilty of what?
For having riotous causes.
Was it riotous behavior? I wanted you to say that. Was it riotous behavior? They had destroyed public property. They had attacked the Ashanti region coordinating a council. They had attacked the person of the Ashanti region security liaison officer, public officer, who had voluntarily, I don't know whether for fear or for his own personal gratification, decided not to pursue the matter.
They were punished. They paid 1,800 each.
They had attacked the person of that. And I just said here that there's no vicarious responsibility for crime. The person who you attacked, the people attacked, was sent to the Ashanti region from Eastern region by His Excellency the President. Mind you, all executive acts in this country are vested in the President. The transfer of that person from Eastern region to Ashanti region was technically an act of the President. What the people did, if the President is not seeing it that way, I'm telling him that was a direct affront to the exercise of his authority.
He promised the law would take its course, and the law did.
And the law did in Sisala when the DCE was chased out.
Okay, so
the law did in Adensu.
Gitmo 2, can we hear you in 2 minutes? Gitmo 2, what should
Well,
happen?
I was waiting to hear my good friend, my working partner, the learned is Ankuma on this Gitmo 2.
Yeah, I'll speak about
Yes, I was waiting to hear him.
Why?
Because you see, apparently Nanado is willing to perpetuate an illegality. That's what has happened.
How do you mean?
Because we had raised hue and cry that these two guys were smuggled into this country. We have said that, yes, the executive, and by Article 75 of the Constitution, the executive had the power to enter into treaty, but that treaty must be ratified by Parliament. The non-ratification of the treaty made the presence of the two guys in Ghana illegal. That was simply the argument. Then the court said, yes, you either send them away or you ratify. When was the decision given? Has there been any ratification?
in the Parliament.
And then Well, there's no what ratification.
They didn't come to Parliament.
You say you're shocked, you're surprised.
Well, no,
and
I'll address it.
then the presence of the two guys in Ghana expired on the 2nd day of January 2018. Political accountability demands the president to speak on this all-important issue and tell us exactly what the intention of government is on the Gitmo 2. But, well...
What should the government do? Their time is over, so they should go?
Well, government, the executive authority of state...
No, it's a question to you. What should the government do?
I have no capacity to speak.
No, you brought them in. You accepted them in for 2 years, right? You accepted them in for 2 years.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I think that
2 years
basically government should review, because we accepted them for 2 years, and in the agreements that we had with our American counterparts, we had said that if these guys were of good behavior and had integrated, then they could extend their stay in Ghana.
Okay.
Then you need to do an assessment of their stay,
okay,
and whether they continue or they pose a threat to the security of this country.
Thank you. And
government has not told us whether
let's
done an assessment.
Let's hear from Alex, but before that, let's hear Dr. Kojo Pumpuni Asante of the CDD. They did an assessment of the president yesterday.
No.
We really have not built a diversified economy, make it strong enough to resist the shocks. Reliant on commodities and so on. And then inequality is rising. So these are huge structural things that if you have to fix.
Well, I think that got truncated there. Just a bit of the negative or the area that needs to be improved. Yes, Alex, let's hear you.
Well, first of all,
to be honest, I didn't know.
The NDC tries to create the impression that the government of Nanado is made up of family and friends. But a distinction has to be made. If somebody is in politics in his own right and is a family member of another, does that mean that that person, upon the party winning power, ought to be relegated to the background by the mere fact that his relative is in authority? That would be wrong. Atachi has been a member of parliament. And is there anything wrong he being a minister? In any event, Betty Mould was in government. The brother Alex Mould was also in government. Emisata was vice president. The brother Jeb Emisata was with the Bui Power Authority. Hannah Tete's sister was at the Flagstaff House as a presidential staffer. And many others. The fact that somebody has a family member in government does not mean that that person in his own right cannot also engage in politics. So that argument, to me, is very misplaced. We have the Jinapo brothers. Fortunately for them, one is MPP, one is NDC. Is it the case that because a brother is in politics, the other should stay away from politics? Okay? The Chamantin brothers, one is energy minister, one is Ijaku, one is energy minister, one is a parliamentarian. These are people whose father, was part of the formation of the MPP as a UP party and all that. Should they stay away from politics? So this argument, which is full of mischief, then this should raise issues and stop this game. It doesn't make it. In any event, these were people who contributed actively. We saw them. Keno Forata, he was there, raising funds for the party. He and the wife on the streets, raising money. So when the party wins power and the person is occupying a position, you say that it is wrong, please.
I think the question that has been asked is whether or not they are qualified for those jobs.
But they continue to make that argument. And so that must be explained, that in their own government, Professor Mills had his brother as an economic advisor. Today, if Atta Mills had not died and he was still in office, his brother is a member of parliament.
But the thing is that so, you would not have said differently. So you should allow them to also say.
Well, you can say that. You can say that. So now let's come back to 1 year in government. One major thing which I expect
our friends to be consistent on and also commend the government for doing is the introduction of the free SHS. No matter how they say it, it is one commendable step taken. They raise all manner of issues, and I agree. It cannot be a perfect start. But I have even gone a step further by saying that even if we have resource constraints and there are difficulties, and there's even the need to introduce specific taxation to sustain it as a nation, we should even be bold in going in that direction. Because there are many people who are vulnerable. Those of us in the political class know the pressure on us from our constituents. School fees, school fees, school fees. There are people who are qualified, they get their qualification at the BEC level because they don't have money, they're unable to go to secondary school. I use myself as an example. But for Parkway Syndrome Scholarship, I wouldn't have been able to write my SSE. I wouldn't have. I would have been sent home. So let us get the argument right and embrace this whole free SHS thing, be positive-minded towards it, and encourage the government to ensure its success.
So, Dr. Anton is to blame for this problem.
Yeah. Yes.
All right?
Yes.
Then, again, the NDC's argument is to the effect that this government has failed. As though we've been there for 8 years. You were in office for 8 years. This is the government that has been there for just a year.
Oh, you say you want the
First,
assessment to come after 8 years.
I think I remain quiet for you.
Yeah.
We had a budget, a simple budget, as you've rightly put it. We needed to get certain fundamentals right. And you cannot judge the government 1 year in office as though it has been there for years and it has failed to realize its vision as enshrined in its manifesto. That cannot be. You had all the opportunities. I remember when he was arguing on certain concerns expressed by Martin Amidu, he didn't go a step further. But I can tell you, on the CDB loan, for instance, that they procured, there were serious concerns that their own party members, those in government, expressed about certain conditions. You ended up paying monies as penalties to the Chinese people in excess of $300 million. You did, yes, $300 million, all because you had failed to put in place measures to assess the facility. That's the kind of government you had. And there are debts to be paid, and if bonds are even being issued at a cheaper rate to refinance to allow for fiscal space, you still complain and raise all manner of issues. So I expect the NDC, yes, criticize us, but do so in good faith. Be constructive. Avoid the excesses of it, and don't act as though you have never been in government. As if they are still in their supposed comfortable lead, as if they are still in a campaign mood, wanting to bring back, are you part of those who want to bring back Mahama?
Yes.
Very well. So I can understand why you argue that way. You want to see everything wrong with the Nanado government because you are still not satisfied. You think that your 8 years was not enough. You need to have 4 more years, and you are in a hurry to get the 4 years again and continue to rule.
He spoke to specific facts, right?
Oh, which were those specific facts? Tell me about those specific facts. Tell me about them.
He wasn't listening.
I was listening to him attentively. Granted, I didn't hear him right. Repoint them out because I noted the facts. I put them here. They are here. So he should tell me. All right? If you're talking about, he says lawlessness. When NDC came into office in 2009, we saw and heard what happened. Are people being chased here and there, being sent to Yoko? In 2009, 2010.
You're not saying what he said did not happen, right?
He should have situated his argument. Was he speaking in absolute terms or in relative terms? He should have situated his argument right. So I'm then compelled to remind him that if you are saying that in 1 year we've been in a state of lawlessness, all I want to tell you that we're in a worse state of lawlessness. If that is the argument you want to make. We're in a worse state of lawlessness when Mills, the king of peace, the president of peace, that Sumdwe was in office. People were being sacked here and there. I was spending hours
at BNI, you will not even see the director. There was nobody to speak to. Party members, are we seeing that today? Even contract, people's businesses, contract were being terminated left, right, center. Are we seeing that?
Oh, we are seeing that.
Oh, please,
Oh,
please,
a lot.
please,
A lot,
please,
a lot.
please, please.
We don't want to.
So
we
please,
don't want to, we
then
don't want to go
please,
there.
I have heard,
Because it's the right of government to terminate.
I have heard the respected Haruna Idrisu, the minority leader, saying that civil servants are being sacked here and there.
Yes, true.
That is not true.
It's true.
How can you sack a civil servant? You yourself, you know.
They have also said it.
Please, a civil servant cannot be sacked. You should know.
Oh.
I mean, you are a lawyer.
They have sacked
If somebody, please, you can make rhetorical political statement. I'll give it to you. We are politicians. But if, like Samson wants you to know, arguing on facts, specific facts, give me the name of that person, that civil servant who has been sacked. The person must rise to court.
I'll give you the
He should take you as his lawyer. Haruna is still a lawyer. He should go and do it. His case for him. Which civil servant?
Where do you situate the Ridge Hospital medical director situation?
Has he been sacked? Has he been sacked?
He doesn't know.
No. He should know. You said civil servants are being sacked.
I'll give you the names.
If a civil servant is being transferred, does that amount to sacking? Please, we should argue and situate same well-grounded on facts that are reliable, and stop the generalization. You say it and then you go without being asked to defend it. No. So stop this argument and let's at least embrace the initiative of the government. You had every opportunity in 8 years. When Kufuor was in office for 8 years, you criticized him on every single initiative aimed at bringing relief by way of social intervention. But as we speak, the NDC has had 16 years of this fourth Republican Constitution. But I can tell you that the NDC cannot boast of a single social intervention program initiated and implemented successfully. I dare them. They should give me one. They cannot. Yet, Kufuor, plethora of those. We had mass lock-in coming in, the school feeding coming in, the Metro Mass coming in, the NHIS, which they did not even welcome it, but claimed that there was an Nkranza experiment and they started it.
I think you are
So like that. No, I'm trying to tell you that what you are doing to Nanado, what you are doing to Nanado, you did it to Kufuor. But when eventually you got the power, it was these initiatives of Kufuor that you used. You never introduced any new thing. The youth employment program, you heavily criticized it. But I'm telling you now that like you are doing to Nanado, you did it to Kufuor. When you came, you couldn't bring anything new. All you did was that the structures that were in place were those you used, okay, to survive your government. Does that mean that as an NDC, you didn't have any vision? Then when we press you, you say, oh, you constructed some roads. Really? Yeah, some hospitals. Really? We are telling you of something new. No. Something that is peculiar to you. No, let me finish. These are questions.
Don't set your questions and answer them.
Okay. But we are here for political. Please, I am giving you some history. That's what Kekubako has taught us.
Thank you.
I am telling you that what you are doing.
Okay.
What you are doing is not new.
All right.
Give Nanado the space. Give him the space.
Okay.
But I could concede by concluding that Nanado's government has not been perfect. But comparing Nanado's efforts to the effort made by President Mahama, Nanado is better.
Okay, thank you. Okay. What has worked for you in the last 1 year, or what is it that you felt we could have done a lot more better?
I'll address that. First, I want to bring, as you mentioned, history. Today is 13th January. Does anybody remember that?
Achapon School.
46 years ago.
Yeah.
When the small amenity school took place. And did we ever think that a day will come that 13th January will come and pass without even being mentioned or remembered? It confirms something, a statement that Chinua Achebe makes, that the living fire begets cold, impotent ash.
Yeah.
That over time, we see things that amaze us. It's a song I heard as a little child, which said that, in English, that if I live long, I shall see the cat and mouse playing symphony together. It's in front of they be me won't tell Mamoko Aputokura, or about them at Jamori Bodondo. Who would have thought that a day will come when Martin Amidu will, in a sense, accept an appointment from Nanado?
Yeah.
And so I am more measured in my views on political things because time is a very interesting factor. Now, what has the president been doing in a year? As far as I'm concerned, he's checking his boxes. He came to Ghana with to Ghanaians with a list of things that he said he was going to do. Some, he's taking them. Whether they are successful or will be sustainable over the years, I don't know. He said he'll do free SHS. Many of us said there are problems with it. He has done it. Whether we like it or not, he has done it. Is it sustainable? That is the next issue. Are we going to hold him to account so it doesn't mess up? That is the next issue. So he's checking his boxes. As Afenyo speaks, and now know that whenever Afenyo is on fire, it is Dr. Ndom to blame. It's not me. That's for Dr. Ndom. We will have this problem on our hands. But it's a...
But you also taught me.
No, I didn't.
You also taught me at the law school.
I denied
so
it
you
to
added...
I denied it to you. I don't recall you in my class. I don't even... Oh, don't worry. But you know, as he talks about the things that the NPP does, there's some things that Nanado is doing. Kwepo, I ask him, is he really a capitalist? Or does he still have bold traces of his Marxist past? Because if you look at the kind of policies that the president wants to implement, these are not capitalists.
Sure.
I think that really we probably have our first Marxist president after Kwame Nkrumah. I mean that as a joke. Okay? But he's checking his boxes. Speaking from where I sit as part of Occupy Ghana, surprise, surprise, 2017 was our most active year. That's what people don't seem to realize. We issued no less than 30 statements on several issues. Many of them we disagreed with the government on. And these are the things, these are the boxes I'm going to check in appraising 1 year of the government. Where is the right to information bill? A year is too long to wait. We need specific deadlines and deadlines where we will pass that bill. And I think we need to look at it again because there are aspects of it that need looking at. If you are prepared to give the special prosecutor such information, give it to the rest of Ghanaians. That's one. We were thoroughly dissatisfied with the way the Delta Force issue ended up in a mere puff. And we issued a statement about it. We criticized it and said that we probably are giving oxygen to impunity, right? That matter should not have ended up the way it ended up. We are not the judiciary. We don't pass. We don't know who passed.
Yeah, so that's the question. What was the president to do?
Yeah, that's the point. I was getting there. No, I'm not. I'm talking about the year.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Right.
And easy lies the head that wears the crown. The buck stops with him. The circumstances were difficult, but we must point out that the conclusion of the matter was not satisfactory. We are still waiting for the committee's report on BOST. We criticized it, we disagreed with the government's position, and said that we side with the interview. I think the press have forgotten that there's supposed to be a committee investigating it. We are waiting to see it. We demanded police investigation of the Ayerika bribery matter. The police ignored us. Mr. Special Prosecutor, maybe this is another matter for you to consider. Because the conclusion was that Parliament sort of just sat down with itself, negotiated the matter with itself. We got an apology with a very interesting signature, and then that was the end of the matter. Are Ghanaians happy? So we can assess President Nanado, but I prefer to assess the whole system, including Parliament and how Parliament has conducted itself. On Gitmo, I don't like saying this, you're my friend, you're my working mate, we work together, he works very much. You're actually wrong. Parliament ratified the agreement after the Supreme Court.
You tell us about Gitmo, I almost forgot that.
Yes, Parliament ratified it. The thing went to the Supreme Court whilst you were in power. This government came in, the judgment was delivered. The position I had taken to a lot of insults from your side, that was an agreement that required parliamentary ratification, right? Supreme Court agreed, but they didn't agree with me. Supreme Court came out with a judgment that coincided with my view. The MPP government, who might have written on some of the statements that we released at the time, took it to Parliament. Parliament approved it. It was a 2-year timeline. But that's what people seem to have forgotten, is that the agreement provided for renewal at the instance of Ghana.
Yes.
So the question we should be asking the government and Parliament is that should the agreement be brought back to you for the extension?
Yeah.
Or did you vest in the presidency or the executive the power to renew the agreement on its own steam without coming back to you?
That's all.
The issue of when Parliament does ratifications and the Debrugge judgment, whether if the agreement is going to undergo any changes, it ought to go back to Parliament. So we need to hit the ball right back into your courts. That Parliament, is government coming back to you with a renewal, or government can willy-nilly renew it and just announce to Ghanaians that the circumstances for renewal have been met? That is a question Parliament ought to answer. We were also very unhappy about the Galamsey sentencing, that when troops have been sent out there and people are arrested, they are imposed with mere fines. In fact, we even believe that some of the courts they went to didn't have jurisdiction to try Minerals and Mining Act matters. But we made noise. The problem we have this time is that the opposition party still doesn't work with us. So when we bring out the things that can even help Ghana, they don't even take notice of it. That they're being given poultry fines as immigration offenses. It was Occupy Ghana that raised the concern that when Aisha Mwang was arrested, she was slapped with minor immigration. Some of them are not even criminal offenses, they are administrative offenses. It was a noise that led to the change in the charges. We were one of those who complained what we call the elephant size of the MPP government, saying that it could create grounds for corruption, that the size of the government is too large. It's been a year. Which KPIs, which key performance indicators were agreed upon between the presidency and these ministers? Have they met them? This is a role for Parliament, the people we have voted for, to then call to order that let's see what each ministry has achieved in the year to justify having 110 people in ministerial positions. And so, like I said, the president is checking his boxes. I can't disagree with him on that. He wanted to do free SHS, he has done it. Look, say what you want about the GPS system, it's been done. I give it to somebody, they find their way to my house. I'm happy. If somebody wants to deliver something to my house, I just give him that mixture of, I think it's too complicated anyway, but I give him the mixture of alphabets and numbers and the things delivered to my house.
When you're under attack, you can easily give it to police. Police can rescue you in a record time, unlike before.
Somebody says it can also direct attacks to you. and so the person who went and said it took him to a public latrine. I'm like, well, actually, maps tend to take you to places you've been frequenting. Well, that's another issue. So we can tick all of these boxes and say that, well, to the extent that he made those his campaign promises, he's taking them. Right. But there are still a lot of things happening in the country that could be better, and that's Occupy Ghana's position. I will never be satisfied with what any president does. Never. Until the day that if President Trump sticks his finger at us, we can stick 10 fingers into his face. I will not be happy with what any government does in this country.
He just repeated something he told me, and I told him what the problem is. It definitely might not be the president, but him. The Gitmo 2, because he cannot be pleased. The Gitmo 2, what's going to happen now? We've heard the Information Ministry suggest that, I think on Friday or Thursday, that government was going to issue, a statement, and it was supposed to be soon. It's taking a couple of days now. Are they going back?
We work closely. You know that when I'm unsure, I avoid.
Okay.
On this occasion, I want to avoid.
All right. Yeah.
On the, you mean Gitmo 2?
1 year. You can start with Gitmo 2.
Well, I think it expired. The agreement expires 6th.
I think so.
6th of January this month. Pragmatically, realpolitik, I think that government will lose nothing if it agrees to extend their stay. It's as simple as that. That's what if I were asked for my view, that's what I would tell the president.
We are spending money monitoring them because they are under, surveillance.
It's how much are we spending? Parliament could ask for those records. and let's do a comparative analysis or assessment of it.
Are you saying we are spending public funds, mounting surveillance? The principals are paying for.
Okay.
They're paying for some. I think there are a few things that we might be taking care of as well. But for me, we've gone beyond the stage where it should be a front burner controversy. This government has too much to do, too many important things to focus on. And that's where they should put their focus.
But we don't know if they themselves, they are interested in going back to their homes.
You mean the two
countries?
Yeah, yes. We don't know. So I'm just being pragmatic about it, you know. In any case, I didn't take a very strong stand on it previously. I thought the two of them did not.
But what would be the justification for this government to, as it were, renew or extend their stay after all is said about them?
Who said? There are a few of them.
About they being accepted into this country.
I didn't hear Akufo-Addo himself. People attempted to link him.
No, he didn't have to speak himself, but his party.
No, but he's president now. He's not in the opposition. He's president. He has executive authority to take a decision now. And in taking the decision, he has to look at Ghana and its relations with the country from where they came. I mean, in this case, the United States of America, and do all sorts of pragmatic analysis and take a decision.
It's okay to benefit from the negative publicity that his party gave it, and suddenly now realize that I'm in government, so I don't have to.
He will not be the first to have been confronted with a reality check while he's in office and taking a pragmatic decision as to what to do. He will not be the first. And this, I say, is not a big deal, so he shouldn't waste too much time on it. There are major things to focus on.
What couple other issues you want to talk about for the 1 year?
Look, the 110 ministers, I backed it in principle, even though I agreed it was huge.
You don't anymore?
The truth of the matter is that I'm not sure the 110 was cast in iron. Yeah, it was not cast in iron. And I look into the crystal ball.
We'll do something.
No, it's true. I anticipate.
I'll see you after this program.
Okay, there's a bombshell coming.
Okay, please.
Looking into the crystal ball. At this point,
The news writers are listening to him. They are typing.
No. I'm only looking into the crystal ball. Not that I have any information.
All right. We've had all your kids here. Get to the point.
But obviously, it's not cast in iron. It would drop.
Okay. That's the point. Please repeat it.
It's going to drop.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Headline. It's going to drop by as
Well,
how many?
I don't know the figures, but it will drop. And it was normal. From day one, we knew it would drop. So it is going to drop, meaning that some people will be reshuffled, some will change portfolios, some will go home and take a rest. All that is there. These are actually not things I'm predicting. This is obvious, isn't it?
It is.
That will happen.
Especially if you have looked into the crystal ball.
Yes.
If you have access to a crystal ball, is that who has access to a crystal ball?
No, I'm telling you.
Well, it's obviously not everybody who has access to the crystal ball. And there are people who are making comments, for this program, who are making comments for this program. And if you like, let me read one of them for you. They said, I think about 2 days to the president's announcement, Ace wrote somewhere that we're all going to be dribbled as far as the president's appointment of the SP is concerned. And truthfully so, we all have been dribbled. He's not alone. There are many who are suggesting that.
So the problem is there are many people with crystal balls.
Yes.
but some of them too didn't appreciate another post Ace did. CV.
Right. They took the CV to be curriculum vitae. Okay.
But that's what I meant. I was talking about
but people
curriculum
like
vitae.
you interpreted that to me, citizen vigilante.
I hear you.
Okay.
CV could mean various things.
Okay.
It could mean chosen vessels. It's a choir on campus. Remember of chosen vessels. That's the whole point.
So I do not know when and how, but I know for sure, after looking through the crystal ball, that the number was not cast in iron, it's not cast in iron, and it will reduce. That I know. No, there are a few negatives, and I have to be honest. The vigilante.
You know about that, but you are not sure of the casualties.
Oh, you want specifics? No, we won't talk specifics now. But even the specifics, some are predictable.
Yeah, some of the ministries clearly
Something will happen.
will have a deadline.
Something will
for
happen.
operation.
So that one is for sure. Something's going to happen. Something will happen. No. I don't think anybody should be unduly worried. I mean the appointees. They shouldn't. After all, when you are moved from here, you go to another place, or when you are moved and asked to go and rest, you go and you rest. You get more energy for other activities.
And others who are warming up on the sidelines will also jump in.
Yeah. So
People are no more afraid of death, but they are afraid of dying. So say it
as
with
I
no
say,
child.
the vigilantes, as you say, is a misnomer, but whatever it is,
Yeah.
the invisibles and the data, yes, the judicial system handled all, but I've been very uncomfortable with it. I think the party itself that usually went out, or at least spokespersons of the party that went out sometimes defending them, and even in some cases rationalizing their conduct, should have been more authoritative. You know, that is not good enough. It's happened before. That's true. I mean, my brother was selective, but I won't go back. After the residency at Wa was invaded, tender documents were bent. You know, these are foot soldiers. They may not have had an identifiable name, a name given to them, but it's a question of foot soldier agitation, which has been with us for a long time. But I don't think we should justify in any way if those groups cannot be disbanded because they are not legal entities in terms of law. You remember the Minister of National Security went to Parliament and that issue came up. They must be reined in. They are not doing any good to the image of the president and the government as well as the party.
I was surprised to learn that they were so well established as far as their structures are concerned. They had national, leaders, regional leaders.
Yeah, it will amaze you.
Yes.
Not for the purpose of lawlessness. Please put it.
Yeah,
just for the
but
purpose of
that is
lawlessness.
not exactly.
How could a political party establish it? No.
It's forbidden.
No, but you see, that is
No.
You don't usually do
Can I,
that.
no, but even
This
that
cannot
point,
be you.
you see, but the point that they are well structured was what worried me most. That where was the control and command there?
Coming from.
Because if you are well structured, then I was expecting some regime of discipline to be imposed by the control and command machinery.
Well, occasionally they came to say they were listening to the president. They even issued a statement at a point to say that
You had party executives, regional chairman or chairman, if I like, and I'm talking here of Wontumi, Kennedy Japan, and the rest. They didn't help matters.
Freddie Blay.
Yes, my own Freddie Blay. It's true. One has to be very candid about these things. So that was a negative. I'm hoping that this year we will not get it won't be a recurrent phenomenon.
Okay.
Then look, the boss. I have to be honest. Boss 2 was a negative. Not that I have evidence to substantiate the allegations per se, but the handling. And we discussed it here. That while the investigations was on and then the press conference by the minister, who I think is one of the best, let me tell you honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Very efficient, very effective, Minister for Energy. But in that particular instance, I'm unable, to justify how the thing went. It was so untidy. BNI itself was a component of the committee that you had set up. Midway, you hold the press conference and come and tell us that the whole thing is clean and you use the BNI report. And after now, we don't even know their status. Because we are told, when we raised the issue of the BNI thing, we were told, but the committee is still functioning. And that they will soon come and report. ACE has raised it. So that is a negative. You can talk about.
So what should happen on that?
Oh, I think the boss thing should be properly investigated. I don't know if somebody could file a complaint. I don't know if it's quality and specifics go within the remit of the special prosecutor. But I wouldn't be bothered at all if somebody were to file a complaint to that effect to that office, for the office to deal with it on its own merits. But look, there were positives as well. The free SHS is critical. Those who underestimate it do so at their own peril, especially the political opponents. It has its challenges and all the rest. Quite a lot of those challenges were exaggerated. Some of them were even false. But in terms of the core, It's a fantastic initiative, and it has serious consequences for this country's development. Then, of course, there's office that we have just discussed in terms of the fight against corruption. Of course, it's dated, is a 2007 act, even though assented to, I think, 2018. I said 17.
Yeah.
But it's a product of the first year of the administration. Of course, good that we had parliamentary intervention that was of bipartisan nature.
The
I was
changes
excited
that were
about
made
that.
were so much that it took the drafting department quite a bit of time. That's why I didn't get to the president in good time enough.
Yes.
Yeah, because I was
Yes.
chasing it right after Parliament had done, and it wasn't available until, I think, even after the president had assented. You need to take it to the assembly press, you need to print. I think even that process is still ongoing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what we have had is,
That's
I
right.
think, privileged copies.
Yes. And then the fight against Galamsey, very determined, very focused. Let me just put out a note of caution. There are few drawbacks. There are few challenges. And sooner than later, perhaps when some of those challenges are made public, it can create a certain level of demoralization in some sectors. Because when you have given people a responsibility to do something of that magnitude, and then some of those in charge are themselves suddenly being sucked into, all sorts of activities, then it makes you worried. And this is part of the Ghanaian problem, that lack of resilience.
Is there an exposure coming up? You say if they are exposed, Anas was in Bulgaria, I think on Thursday, and he seemed to have
I am
suggested
saying
something is
that
coming up.
so far so good, but there are some critical challenges, and those challenges involve people who have been entrusted with responsibility to do something about this Galamsey.
Okay.
And there will be no compromise in terms of the exposure. That is not good enough. Otherwise, you ask me, the economy. Look, this administration inherited a hugely challenged economy. No doubt about that. My brother Fuseni was saying that was the good talk and that won the votes for the NPP. No, maybe a part of it.
Too bad, but you have a minute.
Okay, but look, it was the disastrous conditions within which Ghanaians were living that motivated Ghanaians to vote in a certain direction. I give 90% to that and 10% to the so-called sweet talk. The budget 2017 was approved, was it not 31st appropriation? It's 31st March. The budget is, I think, went to Parliament March 2nd. Budget 2017 really was more or less a transitional budget. It is 2018 budget and economic performance that is going to be the real basis for actually assessing the economy of this country. 2017 was transitional. I don't put much there. But even then, they did so well. So to be honest, I give the Akufo-Addo administration 80% in terms of performance rating.
Thank you very much. You've just been listening to Abdul Malik Kwekubako, Editor-in-Chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper.
Unfortunately, we couldn't deal with cash for seat.
Yes, we could not.
I wanted to point something out to my brother.
We'll have the report shortly, won't we?
No, I was going to point out something because he was talking of using the presidency for. Do you remember what happened on this table, as well as your station, with the presidential diaries?
Yeah.
What we were told, that private companies were given the opportunity to use the name of the presidency to print diaries without accounting to
Thank
the
you
state.
very much.
This is an improvement.
And also in the studio has been Ace Kojo Anan Ankoma. He's a lawyer and also with Occupy Ghana. Inusa Hussaini is MP Tamale Central, and Alexander Kwamina Afenyo Markin is MP Efutu. Have a good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. And thanks a lot to you gentlemen for making time to come to the studios. Our audiences have been very, very excited and educated, particularly on the SP and matters relating to that. I'm Samson Ladi Ayanini. My outfit, as always, is by Latida. Have a good afternoon.
You remember